Hello.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Doing all
Pretty
right. How
good.
are you?
Doing well, doing some painting. Yeah,
Hey.
meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you too.
Where are you guys calling from? Where's home?
Uh,
We Bellingham, Washington.
Nice, nice. I'm here in Los Angeles, also on the West Coast.
Super cool.
yeah.
Great. Well, tell me what do you want to record today?
So today, our professor, we're in a uh dramaturgy class, understanding plays, and she just wanted us to reach out to a professional in an industry that we're interested in going to, and pursuing, and just seeing the impacts of like intersectionality and uh, race and a bunch of different things in in that environment from someone who professionally works in it.
Yeah, very cool.
So I
Very cool. What year
figured
are you
since
guys?
we're both first years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I'm stoked to hear about your class. Happy to share my thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fire away. Where should we start?
All right. I guess just start from the top of our question list. So you are a professional alto sax player. Uh, you are a freelancer.
Yeah, so I've been in the industry since I recording and performing professionally since I was 12. Play all the saxes, sing, write. Um, and yeah, I've been doing it for a long while and performing. I perform all around the country and internationally with my band. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, so our first question is your experience with intersectionality and race within your field of work?
Say the what is my relation? What's the question?
What's your if you have any experience with intersectionality or race in your field of work and just how it has impacted in positive or negative ways or just ways in general?
Sure. I mean, it's pretty unusual when I first got started in the jazz world, which is the type of music I was interested in from a young age because of improvisation. I had very little knowledge about, the different genders and races and people who are affiliated in jazz besides like the records and stuff that I listened to. But at the time, like before I started saxophone, I had a very small um, list of artists that I knew. And then as I started studying the music, my knowledge grew. But I found out pretty quickly when I started in jazz and playing the saxophone that it was much more rare to see women in jazz and even more rare to see Asian and Asian women in jazz. My heritage is Korean. And that was, challenging at times, not because a lot of things that people would say. Some of it is that was actually kind of unspoken. I remember as a young girl, like going to jam sessions and seeing a lot of these guys, and I wanted to play, and there was kind of this feeling of like, okay, well, yeah, we'll see if you can play, and even some
Uh,
comments like, yeah, let's see, and then I would get up there and I'd do my thing, and I've been working hard and letting the music really at that moment talk for me. And then suddenly it was like the surprise of, oh,
yeah.
wow, she really can play. Okay, she can hang. All right, we'll let you in. We'll let you into this boys' club. um, and from an early age, when I would see women in jazz, it was such an inspiration for me. A lot of my inspirations that brought me into the music, like my saxophone idol Stan Getz. Like I didn't have any female saxophonists that I knew about. So once I got a little deeper into the music, like I met the great drummer, producer Terry Lynn Carrington, and she actually brought me to Uruguay to perform with her band when I was 16, and she was really mentored me and had and really champions, women in jazz, of all races and backgrounds. And like Esperanza Spalding, bass player, singer, she was also really encouraging to have me come sit in with her. I grew up in Boston. She was a student at Berklee College of Music at that time. Ingrid Jensen, great trumpet player. Again, she was someone who was really opened up her arms to me. And there are, of course, men in the industry too, like two of my saxophone heroes and mentors, Phil Woods, Lee Conants. They really changed my life and taught me so much. Frank Morgan was another. But I think I was going through a lot of those experiences for the first time and trying to figure them out, in the moment. So that was a very interesting introduction into jazz.
Yeah.
Super cool.
That's So would you say your identity has it like your race and your gender, would you say that has negatively or positively impacted your like standing or like your image today? Like if I had a I had a better way of phrasing this before in my head. Um, just like is the I'll get back to you on that. Josh, do you have any
No, I mean, I think it's super important to sort of have that representation in the industry, and so I think it's really cool how you all sort of work together to bring that about.
Yeah, I mean, it's I wouldn't really pen, this was put it all in a bucket of this was all together, this is positive or this is negative or this is an advantage or a disadvantage. I think it's really important to have role models like you were just mentioning, Josh. For me, that was people like Terry Lynn Carrington, Esperanza Spalding, and I know for me now, like I've been out there professionally doing it, there's young women and Asian women who say to me, like, I didn't think I could be a professional musician or playing saxophone or playing jazz. And after seeing what you're doing, like, I feel like I can do it, and to break those barriers and to have role models, and to let others know and to support them that there's absolutely a path for them and room for them. And, that's a very important thing. So I feel very blessed to, even with the challenges that come with, my race and gender and certain experiences that have happened with that, to then still move forward and be like, to be a role model for others, to let other young women know that they absolutely have this place and should be stepping into, their power and into themselves and their artistry, and to go forth. That's really important to me. And I'm always just so excited to see, I've been seeing more and more young girls like embracing all the instruments and saxophone. And I have a lot of students as well, young women who are playing the sax. So I think we need even more of it. The numbers in the music industry of women who are doing, whether they're producers or songwriters or on the business end, it's still very, very low. And so I'd like to see that, growing.
Yeah.
Super cool. So outside of that, what challenges would you say you as an individual sort of face in the industry?
Are you speaking specifically about race and gender or just in
I'm
general?
saying more just like in general, like with you as an individual, what sort of challenges did you face getting into the industry or being a part of the industry?
Sure. Well, I think as an independent artist, there's challenges, right? Because you have to build your own business and there's no playbook for how to do that. I'm a self-employed individual growing my team, and there's a lot of, with that comes the creative decisions and the the aspect to own one's own music, and what I'm creating. But it also has challenges of whether it's figuring out how distribution models or on the business side of things there's some parts of being part of like major labels that whether it's getting listed in certain playlists or publications or there's kind of infrastructure and ways in the business that those folks will do it. So in the independent artist side, I think you just have to be really agile, and be moving fast on your feet and figuring things out and in trial and error. And that's something that it's a challenge, but it's also something I embrace because I think it's very exciting to kind of be able to design your own path. And with the internet and with the tools that we have at play, it has made it a bit more of an even playing field to be able to get one's own music out there and to contact whomever, whether it's like a DM through social media or through people's websites. So I don't like to think about challenges as this like thing that you come up against and you're just like, well, that's a challenge, I can't do it. I really like to think about these challenges as like, all right, how can I try to crack this code and try a bunch of different things? And this is a great point of growth, to figure out. And from there, how do we keep moving? I think for a lot of independent artists too, the challenge of growing your business, revenue, being able to invest in your own business as well. There's different avenues that people can take, whether it's like, doing a private fundraising and finding investors, but also like in my situation, it's the more gigs that I'm doing and revenue I'm bringing in, then will allow me to invest into my business. And then it's the challenge of, okay, how do I navigate building my business when there's bills to pay and team members to take care of, and all while being kind of strategic about how do I want my career to move and grow, and be working and paying these bills and investing into my own business.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's the part's just about cracking the code of challenges. It I haven't really heard many people speak that way or like think that way for that mindset. So that's pretty inspiring for just trying to just maneuver through life.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing, well, thanks. And the other thing that I like to push forward to all students, like where you guys are at in your schooling and in the creative arts field, it's like technology is right now moving so fast, right? And it's like I see so much potential even when you look at AI, and it's affecting us all, and in the creative field as well. Right now we have like apps like Udio where you can just literally write in prompts and it will create a song for you, and it's just the beginning of it, right? So I see that as an incredible opportunity and also a disruptor, and that's a challenge, but it depends on how you look at it. It could be a challenge or it could be a place of opportunity. If my mindset behind technology, it's like dive in, learn to work with it, adapt to it, because it's here and it's just going to continue to be here. That's not going to change. So that's something that your guys' generation and the generations to come is like, this is a new thing that is really here and now and evolving.
Yeah. So what made you want I know you said that you started music and uh when you were 12, was it?
I started recording and performing professionally when I was 12. Yeah, I started saxophone at 10.
Wow. What made you want to pursue or just be in this industry and pursue this art form?
Well, I was pretty lucky that, at the time I was so young, I couldn't even wrap my head around the idea of becoming a professional artist. It's something that I just fell into, and honestly, I'm just very blessed and grateful to this day because it's still what I love. I love doing. I love performing, recording, writing, being in the creative world. But yeah, when I was first making my first album, it was my music teacher from school who had heard what I was creating, and he was the one who said, "This is really something special, and I think you should record what you're doing. Let's go into the studio." He went to the studio with me, and it was just supposed to be like a demo. And shortly after, I started to get invites from people in Boston, where I grew up, which is a really rich musical city, and especially in jazz as well. People were inviting me to sit in, and things were just naturally really kind of snowballing in this organic way. And when I was 13 years old, I got an invitation from these concert promoters at a jazz festival in Norway to go and travel out of the country for the first time. And I got to sit in with some of my jazz idols, the late great Dave Brubeck. I met Wynton Marsalis, trumpet player, at a steakhouse in New York City where I was playing. And the next week, he invited me to be a special guest at Rose Hall in New York City with his big band. Yeah, so things like that were just happening. And I was just completely along for the ride, And these days, it's been a practice of really being a lot more intentional of like, when it comes to building a career, like how does one do that? Of course, there's these like things that come up that you couldn't even write, like the timing of how things happened and the people that you meet, which is something that I tell my students to just like get out there, meet everyone, take every opportunity. Like in the beginning of your career, you absolutely need to do that, you know? But then there comes this point that it's also like there's so many opportunities that are coming in and there's only so much time. And so it becomes important to be like, okay, what is priority for me? Where do I want to go? How do I want to steer ship? And as a band leader and an artist who is building their own team and is an independent musician, it's like I also like to tell other independent artists, like you're CEO of your business and you're leading others. So that has been a much more intentional thing, over the past few years, and a very exciting practice and like building a business and leadership. It is, after all, still the music business. It's not just music. So I do like to remind, I sound like a broken record here, but I like to remind my students about learning about that aspect, even if you want to just be doing music and performing, but you gotta know the nuts and bolts of how the business part runs.
That's definitely a good thing to let people know about, because I think when it comes to performing arts, people only ever focus on the performing arts aspect of it, that they don't really think about all the other aspects that go into it, like the business and the. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that's definitely a good thing to be teaching, for sure.
Yeah. You guys have any other questions?
Yeah. So you said uh you met a lot, like a good majority of your influences and your heroes. I was wondering just how you have separated yourself from their styles and how if their influences has helped you create your own style of music.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the first stepping stone for anyone who wants to become an artist or great at their craft, let's just start there, is you need to learn from the people who built the music or the thing that you want to do. So in my case, when I was starting saxophone, like I was doing a ton of transcription, and sometimes I feel like I've heard it from people who are, starting the sax, they get so antsy and they're like, I want to just create my own style, and of course it's like such a noble thing to want to create as an artist, but you have to start somewhere, and starting somewhere begins with learning from others and transcribing your favorite musicians and also, I was really lucky from a young age to see a lot of incredible live music. I grew up in Boston, like I said, and Scholars Jazz Club was like a home to me. And I knew the producer of the club, Fred Taylor, who's a legendary music promoter, well, and he was like a champion of mine, and he would let me sneak in and like hang out at the bar even though I was underage and watch all these like incredible musicians, jazz musicians come and play, and I get to meet them. And I was transcribing some, my heroes like Phil Woods, Lee Conan's long before I met them. And then you can imagine when I did get to meet some of my musical heroes, how special it was to get to literally like play beside them, because there's something that happens just within the osmosis of being, hearing somebody's sound right there in the flesh, and then just, picking up certain elements from them.
Mhm.
And those moments are really just so special in my development, getting to play next to my idols. And it has definitely influenced the way that I play, the way that I perform. I've had other mentors in this industry that were outside of jazz, who were in like the blues and rock world, and were like incredible stage performers, or even getting to play. I played in John Batiste's band, and I was playing in the house band for the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And John's persona, his stage presence, the way he brings a crowd together, the way he brings his band together, is like really incredible. And so I learned a lot from him, in my own band leading. And so I do think it's important to go through those experiences, and, very blessed, fortunate to have a lot of those memories so far.
Now, I just have to ask because it's something that I definitely enjoy, but I know a lot of your work in the 8-bit big band,
Oh,
one
nice.
of my favorites.
Nice.
What has it been like working with them?
That's super cool that you're a fan of their music. I'm a fan of their music as well. I think what Charlie Rosen is doing within the video game music genre is so fresh. And I actually met Charlie, the creator of the 8-bit big band, and the band leader at Berkeley when we were both students. And your question was, sorry, what was
What's it been like working with
Oh,
them?
with the 8-bit,
What's
super, super fun. I've done a few guest spots working with the 8-bit big band. I always love doing live shows with them because like the energy in the crowd is palpable, and it's like you can tell that these audience members have like personal memories and experiences with the songs they're hearing, because people are like so excited they're practically jumping out of their seats, and so that's very different than performing at most jazz concerts. The energy is like wild. And yeah, the music is so great. The arrangement is all just so elevated, and I love how Charlie will kind of mix different genres together, whether it's playing like rock and metal to like a super swinging Sinatra chart, or like I sang and played Jump Up Superstar with them. And as soon as I got the arrangement from Charlie, I was like, oh, this is beautiful. He was also so kind. He arranged a couple tracks on my latest album, which is a tribute to some of my favorite movie music. He did an arrangement of Quincy Jones' Soul Bossa Nova. And yeah, he's just got such incredible chops as a
Yeah.
player and as an arranger. I've also worked with him in some TV show bands that he was a musical director for. And I'll never forget, like, there was one time we were ending the song, he's playing acoustic bass, and he stands on the top of his, well, no, he stands right in the crevice of his acoustic bass, and then he had both hands out and he ended on his bass. And it's like, who does that? Quite the spectacle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
that's that's amazing.
I'm sure you can find some photos. Like, it's a really cool party trick that he has, but I've never seen anyone else do it.
I'll definitely have to look into that, yeah.
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 So, this is just my last question. Um, for someone who like wants to get into making their own music and making their own face in just either covers or original productions, what would you say is like a good first couple steps?
Well, I think first and foremost, you need to really focus on learning the craft, right? So whether it's an instrument or whether it's to become a songwriter, it's like studying the greats and studying people that you love, artists that you love. Like if you're trying to become an arranger and arrange charts like Charlie Rosen, it's like looking at those scores, and learning from it. And I think that takes time and it takes practice and diligence, and really don't rush that process. You're going to learn so much from it. You're also going to really develop your taste in that process. And taste is an important thing because it's one of those things that like you can't teach people.
Mhm.
Like you could play the saxophone for 10,000 hours, but if you've never heard a record, or you don't know what you're trying to like emulate or go for, and then it kind of just becomes this really technical thing. So it's not just about putting the hours in. It's also like, how are you trying to target where you're going and who are your influences? So I think that's definitely step one. The other thing that's really important in this business is to just connection. So you can't start early enough in my book. And that could be starting from the connections you make at school. Like I said, I met Charlie Rosen when I was at Berkeley. I was 16 years old. He was like 17, and we were jamming together. And there's a bunch of the connections that I made from my time at Berkeley and even my time at jazz camp when I was in middle school that have now flowered into relationships years later. My producer from my recent album, Brian Carter, he actually co-arranged with Charlie Rosen for the Tony and Grammy Award hit musical Some Like It Hot. And so Brian was our MD, but I've known Brian since I was 14 years old and we met at jazz camp. We could never imagine that
Wow.
10 years later, we'd be doing this project and we'd both be doing these like cool things in our careers. So really important, like it starts right now. And then the other thing I think is important for students to be thinking about, or anyone who wants to get into this industry, is like educate yourself on the business side, right? Like the amount of time and the effort we put in to learning our craft, like also learn about the industry, read some branding, material, go on YouTube, like, there's so many tools available. There's a lot of information. Not all of that information is correct.
Yeah.
But there's many ways to, if you spend the time to go through the information and sift through it and learn from it, these are incredible tools that I didn't have when I was, your guys' age. So I think those are three really important things to be actively working on: the skill, of your craft, the relationship building, and the learning the business side of things. And again, all of these things you can't start too early. I know there's some artists that think, I just have to practice my instrument and then everything else will be figured out for me. And that's just, you know, not the case, especially if you want to be, navigating and building your own career. Then I think you really need to have kind of a boots on the ground and approach to it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's yeah, uh, great information. I'm try. I think that definitely the hardest part for me is just the networking and just getting to know people out there. Is I I've got a few people who I'm friends with in music departments here at our school, but just knowing when and what to uh, what to do with them and how to how to do it is definitely going to be something I'm going to need to figure out. But
Yeah, I mean, like we're all figuring it out. I think the other thing to keep in mind is like take the word networking, because I feel like it has this pressure to it. If you take it out and it's like you are just connecting from one human to another, and you don't have to have this agenda. And it's like when you're just building relationships, just like the way you've made friends, to have that just continual interaction with people is a really good starting place. I don't think you have to have all this pressure of knowing what it is and how to approach it. Just first connecting on a very human level is a good place to start.
Well, I got one more question, which is just, what are you working on right now? Is there anything that you are working on, any projects you have coming up that you are excited for?
Yeah, I'm working on a lot right now. We recently released my orchestral movies album. So we're working on, the music videos for that album and for releasing just the full project of it, because the album is the beginning, but this is a whole there's much more there. So we're rolling that out through the summer and the fall, and I am always very excited to work on new collaborations. So I've got some things brewing on that end of some other artists that I'm really excited to be working with and collaborating with. And then I've got some ideas brewing for a new project. It's still brewing, so I won't go into it in depth except to say that it's much more in like the rock and the metal side of things, because I think it is absolutely time to be shaking things up. And I mean, there'll still be some jazz in there too, but it's bigger, it's bolder, it's darker. So I'm really excited to get to dig into that in the future. But we got a lot of things going, and also touring as well. But it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy getting to do kind of the range of projects, from playing in like my small jazz group, like this 15-piece, strings and orchestral project. And then we're hoping to take that to symphony orchestras. We're in some early talks as well with some orchestras that are interested in bringing that project on. So yeah.
Super exciting.
Definitely keep my eyes peeled for that.
Yeah, please do, and keep in touch. It's really great to meet you both, and thank you for hitting me up. And I wish you all the best with your class and with your time at your university. You're just getting started there, so it's gonna be
Well, thank you very much for taking some time to talk with us.
Yeah.
Very appreciated, and it helps us out a lot too.
Awesome. My pleasure.
It was great to meet you.
You too, Nick. You too, Josh.
All right. You have a great rest of your day.
You too. Catch you later. Bye.
Bye.